What was the strongest evidence that you kept finding toward guilt?
The letter and the picture?
The computer, the internet.
Yeah,
files.
internet files,
Internet
definitely.
files.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's go through some of those. How important was the letter? Would you say that was the letter that Julie wrote and left with her neighbors? How important was that?
To me,
I
it
thought it
was
was extremely important.
It was extremely important.
At first, it wasn't making any sense to me. I was one of the people who had doubt. And at first, it didn't make any sense to me. It didn't. I felt that if I was leaving a roadmap to people that were going to find my murderer, I would have been more clear. Then we took her picture that she took of the day planner with a Post-it note and put beside it and reread the letter, and it was a clear roadmap. It was absolutely, totally, and completely clear. You could see where she was taking the things from the Post-it note and incorporating those in her letter to the police officers.
Give me an example. Talk a little bit more about that. What do you mean?
I just feel like it was very clear. As soon as we put the note, the picture of the note with the things of the list, and you put it next to her letter, you could tell she was looking at that note going, wow.
I think what they're saying is it said own drug supply.
Own drug
And it
supply.
said like nicotine, booze, bottle. Julie in her letter said, I do not smoke or drink.
Yeah.
And that's when we were reading this and somebody had the letter up and somebody had the Post-it note. And that's when, I will not ever take my life, the reference to the razor blades. That
The razor
was a
blades
big point for a lot of people to turn.
Yeah.
And when did this time come, when you all finally compared the two?
It was late
Yesterday.
Yesterday
Late
night.
yesterday evening. And we were just exhausted. We needed to go home, get some
We knew we made
point
a
of
big
references.
accomplishment, and it was like we weren't in no mood to push it to another 11, 12 o'clock. That was a very short night, and then to come in, and it's just like, we can't have another night like last night. There's no way.
You can't think that way.
In the letter of her children, did that impact?
I believed
Key
it.
point
Yeah, that
that
was-
Julie loved her
that she
children
loved
so
her children.
much that she wouldn't take her life.
And she loved her husband.
Yes.
Yes.
She
She
did.
loved her husband, she loved her marriage, and once we took our personal feelings out of it and took a step back and looked at it from, well, I would have done, once we stopped doing that, today we read through his questioning with
Just Ratsburg.
Detective Ratsburg, and things just started clicking into place. Questions that we had were being answered, just boom, boom, boom. Some of the internet searches, I found it difficult to believe that a woman of her age was not at least able to get onto the internet. I mean, my husband's computer illiterate, and he can still go on the internet and look up things. But then he started talking about, well, he was going to use antifreeze to winterize his pool, yet the first incidence of ethylene glycol being looked up on the internet was November 10th. Several of us have pools. Your pool better be closed by the middle of November, middle of October, or you're going to be replacing expensive parts come summertime. And that was the last thing that clicked for me.
It just seemed odd that if she were looking up the ethylene glycol information at the Times, especially on the 2nd, I believe it was, that she would have had to basically tell Mark to get off, or whoever went on Telescan would have had to just download stuff, not do any looking onto it, and then go right onto the internet. So I don't know, I just put 2 and 2 together. That's how I saw that
What
one.
about those, I'm sorry, what about those searches on December 2nd and 3rd combined with the symptoms that we heard that she had during that time?
Really big.
Yeah, that was tough.
What do you mean tough?
Mark described her as not being able to get out of bed,
Yet there were internet searches, which meant somebody had to be sitting on that computer
And who do you believe, who did you all believe was on the computer?
at that point.
Mark.
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 Yeah.
On that